Hey everyone, this is Murthy. Welcome to QA automation classes. So this is the second class of the framework development series, and in this session we're going to understand what is our tech stack, what is the different types of the tools we are going to use, and what is will be the architecture of our framework. Okay, so let's go to the whiteboard. So coming to the tools, right? So if I have to list out the tools, the list of the tools what we are going to use are, first we'll be using the Selenium. Okay, so this is the main component Selenium, and then we are going to have the Maven as the build tool. Okay, so Maven is build tool as well as your dependency management tool. It has to download all those dependencies, right? So and we are going to have, on top of it, we are going to have the TestNG, and okay, let me reduce it. Okay, Selenium, Maven, okay, and we can have the TestNG after this. Okay, so TestNG is a unit testing framework, right? How we have the J unit and N unit, right? Similarly, we have the TestNG. So instead of writing all our test cases through the public static void main class, right? Main method. So we are going to use the TestNG classes, and we are going to annotate it with test annotation, so that each test annotation can be treated as a one separate test cases, and that can be run. Okay, we don't need to write the multiple public static void main classes, right? So the main drawback of the Java class is like the JVM at once can only execute only one public static void main class, right? Main class. It cannot execute the multiple main methods at one time. But in TestNG, when we are replacing public static void main, the main method, with respect to the test annotation, and with this test annotation, JVM can execute multiple test annotation in parallel. Okay, so that is the main reason of going with the TestNG. And in the TestNG also, if you see, we can have the different annotations, like before test, after test, before shoot, after shoot, right? So we have before method, after method. So these annotations data provider, right? So these annotations are like it will help a lot during the development of the initial framework. Okay, so that's why we're going to use it. Okay, testng, and the testng will have your testng.xml file, and through that testng.xml file, it will try calling to the individual test cases or the test classes. Okay, and apart from that, we are going to have our Apache POI. So for reading the data from the Excel, we are going to use Apache POI library. Through this library, we'll be reading from the Excel file, the test data from the Excel file, and we are going to have loggers also. So the logger implementation will be done through the our log4j, right? So we have log4j, and we'll be seeing that version 2. Okay, because the version 2.xx, because 1.x had some vulnerabilities, and so that is deprecated, no one is using it. So we'll be going with the latest log4j 2.xx. Okay, and then after everything is done, anyhow, like all the test script has been run, we have to generate the reports, right? So for the reporting, we are going to use the extend report. Okay, so these are the tools or the libraries we are going to use during our automation framework designing. Okay, so then we can come to the architecture actually. So what exactly is the architecture of the Selenium framework that we are going to design? So clear it. Okay, so architecture is, so I told you, like, we are going to use the Maven as the build tool and the dependency management tool. Okay, so the Maven, the entry point for the Maven is pom.xml. Okay, so pom.xml, let me write pom.xml. Okay, so this is nothing but your Maven. You can say pom.xml, or it is our Maven. I'm just writing here as Maven. Okay, so in the Maven, From the Maven, we are going to call to our testng.xml. Okay, so testng.xml is nothing but your it's a XML file which will in turn contain the location of the test classes. Okay, testng.xml, uh, testng.xml. Let me write here xml testng.xml. Okay, so pom.xml, it is going to call to the testng.xml. After testng.xml, it is going to call the respective test cases. Okay, so you might have the n number of test cases designed over here. Okay, so let's say we have few test cases over here. Okay, okay, so okay, so let's say uh, okay, so I need to erase this one. Okay, okay, so let's go and see. So this testng.xml is going to call to these test cases. Okay, individual test cases. Okay, we can have n number of test cases. Okay, it's like diagrammatically I'm showing only 4 test cases, but it's going to be n number of test cases you can have. Let's name them tc1, so I'll say tc2, and here let's say tc3, and up to dot dot dot, let's say tcn. Let's say we have a number of test cases. Testng.xml is going to call each of the test cases. Okay, so what exactly this test cases or the test classes do? Okay, so each test class. Okay, so I have to extend. Okay, so let's do one thing. Okay, let's bring it down. Okay, so on top of it, let's say I have base class. Okay, let's have a diagram for base class. Okay, so here I'll say we'll have base class. Okay, so base class will have the reusable methods that is going to be reused for each of the test cases. So all these test classes are going to extend. Okay, so these are extending base classes. Okay, so this is not for only one, for all of the test cases are going to extend the base classes. And these test cases in turn are going to call to the page classes. Okay, so from these test classes we can have the page classes. Let's say I'll specify page classes with pc1, pc2. Okay, so this page class means, okay, I'll just give a quick example so that we can relate it more. Okay, so up to I can say pn or something I can say here. Okay, so let's say pn. Okay, so now the cases are good, the test classes are going to call the page classes. One test class can call the multiple page classes. Okay, similarly tc2 also can call pc1 and pc2. Okay, okay, like this they can call any number of page classes depending upon the flow. Okay, so after the page classes, right, so the page classes will in turn call the utilities classes. Okay, so page classes has to connect to the utility classes. Okay, so I'll say this is our utilities classes. So page classes will call these utilities classes. Okay, so here also it's gonna call, this is also gonna call the utilities classes. In utilities classes we'll keep some utilities, right? Maybe data provider, reading the data from the excel, from the database, the extent report generation, right? Those will be part of your utility classes. Okay, and then we will have also the config files, right? And those config files will also be read by their page classes. Okay, utilities, and here I'll say config files, one more, utilities and configs. Okay, config files. Okay, so your config file will be read by the your page classes also. Okay, so after everything is done, right, so the execution is done, then we'll have the report from the test cases, right? So each test case will give to the report. Okay, so we'll have the reports. So what exactly is at these reports? This is the test execution report. Okay, so whether this test case is passed or failed, right? Or anything is skipped, so we'll have a detailed report of that one. Okay, and for each test cases on the console also we'll see the logs, because we have already implemented log4j there. Okay, so while that within the test cases only we'll use that logger. Okay, so the each and every step that is getting executed wherever we are giving the logger, those are also going to get generated in the console, as well as will generate a separate log file also. Okay, along with the reports, and these reports will also have the screenshot, so that I can mention here screenshots, loggers, these are all outputs. Okay, screenshot and log file. Okay, like dot log file. Okay, dot log, like app dot log something, application dot log file. So this log file is going to get generated. So these are all output. If you see, let me take a different color now. Okay, so now if you see screenshot and your reports and your log, so these are the output. Okay, after the execution these files will get created. Okay, so this is the entire framework architecture, guys. Okay, so apart from this, in the next session we'll start creating the